I'm Command Sergeant Major Terrina Anderson. I am the Command Sergeant Major for the Army School of Music. We're located at Joint Base Little Creek, Virginia, in Virginia Beach. And as my role as the CSM of the Army School of Music is I kind of have three hats. I'm the CSM of the school. That's where we train musicians that come to AIT after basic training. I'm also the Commandant of the Army Band's NCO Academy, so the soldiers come back to us at the ALC and SLC level. Also at the school we train our officers. We train the commissioned officers and warrant officers to be band masters and band commanders. And then my other hat is I'm the proponent sergeant major for Army Bands. So when we say Army Bands, it's the whole Army Bands career program, which encompasses all three compos, regular Army, Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. And so one of the reasons I'm here, I didn't know about band train until this year. I just came into the seat in March of 2022. And I never knew that the reserve component bands did training like this, and the National Guard has their own training. Active Duty has had their own training every year. And one of the things that we're really been working on the last couple of years is improving relationships among the compos. So, just the fact that we're all part of the same career program, and yet we don't know what we're all doing, that's a problem. So that's really exciting for me personally to be here and to just see what are the challenges that specifically Compo 3 faces. And my job at the school, and my boss, the Chief of Army Bands and the Commandant of the School of Music, is to our role is to help further the enterprise, and where are we headed towards Army of 2030, Army of 2040? How do we all work together to make our program better? I think that the important thing about having these events is that we bring leaders together. This is the reserve component, or the Compo 3 commanders, bandmasters, and their first sergeants, and some of their full-time folks, and just getting everyone together in the same room. So we're all hearing the same things from the same briefers. But then if you've been to any Army course, the Army has in-person training and in-person education for a reason. And that's because it's not just about the briefers and about the classes you get and the information. It's about the connections that you make in between the briefers, and when you go to dinners and the socials and go to lunch and go to coffee and you're standing around in the hallway. It's all about those connections that you can make and having those extended conversations that you really even can't get over Teams in a virtual environment. So I think that's the value. Because I think that's where the magic happens, that you end up, when you're face to face with someone and you're sharing a cup of coffee, or you're at the DFAC or at the restaurant for lunch or dinner, you end up talking about things that you probably wouldn't talk about if you were online, even if you got the video cameras on, because then it tends to feel more like, okay, we have a certain block of time, we got to stick to it. But it's the spontaneity, maybe that's a better word for it, that you never know who you're going to meet and what you're going to learn about them and what you're going to learn about each other that can help you work together better. Right, so what I've, from my perspective, coming into the seat, what I've experienced, and then also what I've learned more and more, is that we're all the Army Advanced Career Program. So we're all part of the same big family, but we tend to exist in these little bubbles. And the main one that I've experienced is between the components, the regular Army, Reserve, that National Guard. We all kind of have our own little worlds, and there wasn't a lot of communication across the components. But I see that also within the components. Each band in the active component, we tend to be, it's like every band out for themselves and everybody's doing their own thing. And then I've learned that it can be that way in the reserve components as well, whether you're talking about Army Reserve or National Guard. And that's another benefit of bringing everybody together at something like this, is that you can, I think it's that sense of the sense of community in that, especially when you're struggling with something, and like say your band is experiencing, some obstacle, whatever it is, that you learn that you're not the only one going through that, and you can learn about how other people have dealt with it, have handled it. It's again just part of that, making sure that we're unified as a career, a distinct career field within the AG Corps. We belong to the AG Corps, but AG Corps is HR and bands. And so making sure that we're unified. In my position at the School of Music, I am ultimately responsible for the entire band's program. Now we do have within National Guard, we have a senior chief warrant officer for bands. In the National Guard, we have a sergeant major. That's just the senior enlisted for the National Guard. Same one on the reserve side. We have Chief Ackoff, you saw down there, who's the senior chief warrant officer for Comp 03. We have a sergeant major, and so we all work together. But ultimately, the chief of Army Bands, who's my boss, also the commandant of the school, we're ultimately responsible for the entire program. So it's our job to bring everything together, and so that's why it's important. I do like getting out. It's so getting out and about and doing these face-to-face interactions, making office calls, going to visit units. It is not something that comes naturally to me. It's something that I had to learn how to do, really kind of starting as a first sergeant, and still it's not. I feel like I come across as awkward a lot of times, but it's not something that came naturally to me. But I do really enjoy it now, and especially in this position, I've always thought, well, what does a command sergeant major do? And in my mind, a command sergeant major, you go out and you see your people. And so these are part of my people. And so whether it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, I've learned to really enjoy it. And if I'm sitting at the schoolhouse and not traveling for a while, I'm like, I gotta get out again and go travel. But I think that's just part of being a sergeant major. You gotta get out there, be boots on the ground, because when you show up and you're there with soldiers and you can talk to them, you just learn things that you wouldn't learn if you're just doing everything virtually or phone calls. So that's something that we've struggled with it, and yet the answer is obvious. And whether you talk to someone in the band or someone outside the band, we love to say, everyone is a fan of the bands. Everyone loves the bands. Everyone, on some level, everyone understands what we do, and that's ultimately, we raise morale. We make those connections. Our mission touches so many other things in the Army. We support recruiting. We support holistic health and fitness. We support the chaplain corps and religious activities. We support what we do as far as helping commanders shape public perceptions. That's a public affairs function, right? So our mission touches a lot of things, and I totally forgot where I was going with this and what your question was. Yeah, can you remind me? Maybe you can edit that part out. Yeah. Oh, the value we bring, yeah. So it's the value that we bring is that I think bands are just an incredible asset, that what we can do enhances what other things in the Army do. So we can enhance what public affairs does. We can enhance what recruiting does. For recruiting specifically, we can get into places that recruiters are not welcome, and then we sneak a recruiter in with us, and we end up with contracts. And so I think, yeah, we're enhancers, we're combat multipliers, because who do you know that doesn't like music of some sort? Like everybody has some kind of music that they like. It's a different kind of music, but everybody has something that they like, and music is something that brings people together. There's a phrase about music being a universal language. It's on some level, yeah, maybe it's, if you want to get really deep into it, maybe that's not exactly true, but it's true in the sense that it's true in the sense that music is common to every culture. Every culture throughout history, since the beginning of time, has some kind of musical element. And so that's the value that we bring, is that no matter what kind of music we're playing, it's recognizable as music, and it draws people in. Yes, so Army bands, there's a lot of people out there that think, oh, well, we just thought you guys did ceremonies. And that's definitely part of what we do. And we, marches and ceremonial music, but we have all these small groups. Every band can task organize into a rock band, a brass quintet, a woodwind quintet, a jazz combo. Some bands, especially in the Reserve and National Guard, where they're very much regionalized, you'll see bands that they'll have a salsa band, they'll have a steel drum band, they'll have a bluegrass band, a country band. So we have tons of capabilities within our formations, and that we can share different kinds of music. There's an Army band out there that no matter what kind of music you're into, there's probably an Army band out there that can play that kind of music.